Very short set of notes on Russia's people today. So please take out your notebooks. And my first question is, what's going on in this picture? What is happening in this picture? Look at the picture. You can't figure out what's going on in the picture if you're not looking at it. Look at the picture. What's going on there? Should not be that difficult of a question. The follow-up questions might be a little more difficult, but what is happening in those in that picture, Job? Okay, it's a market. Now, is it a formal market? No, it's sort of like a makeshift market. Okay, what are they selling? What does it look like is being sold here? Yes. Okay, we have some onions. We have some bottles of stuff here. It looks like maybe stuff that people grow in the gardens. Next question. Who is selling the stuff? Who is selling the stuff? Yes. Okay, what kind of... These two women, the woman sitting on the box and the woman standing there, they're selling. This woman here over on the right is buying. Can you describe those things? What part of society do those people belong to? Yeah. I'm not quite sure about lower class. Look at the woman's face. What part of society? Yes. Okay, they're older people. They're elderly. Retired. Big question. See if you can get this. Why are those elderly women selling things from their garden on the street? Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Ooh, yeah. Yes. Okay, they don't make that much money. They're older. And remember when we talked about Russia being rich, Russia being poor? Who was the hardest hit by all those changes? Going from a communist type of economy to a free market economy. The elderly. What got wiped out in the 90s? What got wiped out that they were planning on using during their retirement? Their savings. So they're forced to go out onto the streets and sell things if they have small little gardens. Yes, they're making a little extra money because they don't get much from Social Security. Good review. The government of Russia today, remember, there is no more Soviet Union. There is no more communism here. It's not everybody's equal anymore. Forget that in terms of the way Russia is today. Today, Russia has the same kind of government as the United States, as Germany. Not the same as Canada or the UK. What kind of government is it? Yes. It is a federal republic today. Yes. Today it is a federal republic. And from your reading and your research, you found out that it has a very strong what? Stronger than in the United States. Much stronger than in the United States. It has a very strong president, yes. The president in Russia can do a lot more than the president of the United States. The president of Russia can actually make laws. He can say, here's the new law, boom, and it's done, without approval from Congress. Almost doesn't even sound like a president. Almost sounds like that emperor dude from... What's the title of the old emperors in Russia? Now, something that I'm going to tell you about Russia in terms of the last election. The guy was running, one guy was running for president. And then there were some other people that wanted to run against him. People made it very difficult for the other people to run against the more popular guy. One of the laws states that you have to have a convention, a huge meeting of your supporters in Moscow, the capital of Russia, in order to run for election. So the guy that wanted to run also for president, the guy that wanted to run against the main guy, he tried to book rooms for this big convention, this big meeting. Guess what happened? Anybody want to guess? The guy that wanted to challenge the head guy couldn't get any rooms. Nobody would rent to him. And because he couldn't rent a room or a building to have his convention, he wasn't allowed to run for president. In the last elections, there were a lot of people in that same situation where the big party and the president at the time made it very difficult, almost impossible for... Something's not coming up here like it's supposed to. Let me check one thing here. Hold on one second, because that's not in the right spot. Why aren't you coming up? Election, like I was saying before we had the technical difficulties, there were many opponents, many people that wanted to run against the current president's party. They weren't allowed to run. It's not like a democracy if not everybody is allowed to run. Most of the people in Russia didn't complain. In past elections, people that have been running against the current government have been arrested and harassed by the police, thrown in jail for no real reason. And so democracy is something that's new in Russia, and so the people really don't know how to handle it quite yet. The government is so strong still, even though it's a federal republic with that strong president. Sometimes democracy isn't 100% there. Sometimes people are taken advantage of. So that is the government in Russia. Any questions about that? Could you imagine if in the last election, when Barack Obama was running for president, if he was arrested and thrown in jail, or not let into certain cities, or said that, or told that he couldn't run for election unless he had a big meeting in a place where nobody would let him have a meeting? Would that be allowed in the U.S.? No. Democracy is something new, and they're working out the bugs in Russia. They're working out the bugs. I actually have a friend that used to work in the Senate. He stopped working in the Senate because he didn't like the way people were handling it, the lying and the cheating that went on there. Okay, what do you know about ethnic groups in Russia? What do you know about ethnic groups in Russia? Partially it was on your Unit 5 Regional Atlas activity. What about the numbers of different ethnic groups in Russia? Who can tell me something about them? I don't need a concrete number. What can you tell me about the numbers of various peoples or ethnic groups in Russia? Done. Yes, there are a lot of them. There are lots and lots of ethnic groups in Russia. Many different ethnic groups. It's not just Russians. You got over 100 different ethnic groups in Russia. Here's a map to show you the various ethnic groups. Now, this also includes the former Soviet Union, so we're down into other locations, but look at all the different colors here. We have Russians and Ukrainians and Belarusians, Tatars, Bashkirs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, Uzbeks, Turkmen, Azerbaijani, other Turkic peoples, Georgians, Chechens, Ingush, peoples of Dagestan. And where you have yellow, there's nobody. Remember what we said about Siberia? Not a lot of people there? Look at all that yellow. Where are there people in Siberia? Along what? Do you see a pattern? Do you see a pattern of where the people are living? Nope. Along the rivers, yes. Here's Selena. And you see all the people along the river there. Here is the Yenisei. Here's the Ob. The people are all along the various rivers. So, we could rattle off the different kinds, the different ethnic groups that we have here. There are Poles, there are Germans, there are Frenchmen, there are Hispanic, Italian, Croatian, Norwegian, Swedish, Finnish, many different groups. Okay, so they came here of their own choice, right? For the most part. With the exception of by their own choice, but they walked, or in the United States, but in Russia, the many ethnic groups that are there did not come by immigration. They were not brought into that country by choice. Immigration is moving from another country or moving to another country. The people in Russia, the different ethnic groups in Russia, did not immigrate there. How did they get in Russia then? How did they get in that country? How did all those different ethnic groups get in the country then if they did not immigrate there? Yes. They were put into the country by force. Their lands were conquered. Their lands were taken over. So as a result, do you think everybody in that country, all those different ethnic groups, do you think they all want to be there? No, they don't. Some want what? Just like what happened in Kosovo, former Yugoslavia. That was meant to be sort of a stepping stone to understanding Russia. Yes, there are some that want independence. And there's one group in Russia that Russia has been fighting a war with for over 10 years. And they have their own terrorist groups and everything. And that is a group in a region called Chechnya. Chechnya wants to be an independent country. And actually they were for a while. Russia let them go, and then they wanted more land. And the terrorist attacks continued. And so Russia sent in its armies again, and it's still fighting in Chechnya today. been going on for over 10 years now. Heavy fighting. Neither side seems to be able to win because it's terrorist kinds of actions, hit and run, guerrilla warfare, that kind of thing. So, many ethnic groups in Russia. Now, let's look at Russians in terms of the people that live in Russia today. How do they live? The people in Russia, what is their religion? What is the main religion of Russia today? It's related to the main religion in Greece, in Serbia, in Ukraine. That would be Logan. Russian Orthodox would describe the people, but the religion is Russian Orthodoxy, yes. Russian Orthodoxy is their religion, main religion of Russia. Are there others? Yes. But that is the main religion of Russia. Anybody remember what they call their alphabet from your reading? What do they call their alphabet from your reading? Yes. Yes, Cyrillic. I wasn't going to call on Nate because he looked over on the sideboard to cheat. I saw him reading the board. It's the Cyrillic alphabet, named after Saint Cyril, who came up with it. It's really based on Greek. And here it is. A, B, V, G, D, E, E, J, I, E, K, U, N, O, P, R, S, U, H, Ç, Ç, Ş, soft sign, I, F, U, yeah. I'll be working on that a little bit later. Now, let's let me see. How much is it? Trains are an important mode of transportation, especially city to city. People can't afford to fly, and so they travel a lot by trains. They can't drive. There are freeways, but the distances are too great. Remember, it's twice the size of the United States. Last part, let's take a look at families. Who knows one thing about Russian families? One thing about Russian families, from your readings, from whatever. Rachel? Several generations live together. Yes, you have grandparents that live together with the families. Grandparents live with one of their children, and then their children's children. It's a way of saving money. We did the costs of living. Most grandparents could not live alone. When parents go off and work, the grandparents then babysit the kids. The families are much closer. They spend a lot of time together. Good. Grandparents, all those generations living together, sharing their history, talking with each other. Yes. Yes, most live in small city apartments. If you are in a city, one bedroom. If you live in a city, you most likely live in a one-bedroom apartment. You don't have cities really like the United States where if you drive through St. Paul, most of the people still have houses. Small houses, small bits of veranda. But in Russia, they have small apartments in the cities. They might have a little garden area in a different location in their apartment. And they might have a garage someplace other than an apartment. But you own your apartment. Where do they live in? Small town. Yeah. Now here is an apartment building in Russia. What's your first impression? Looks very dull and boring. Not very well maintained on the outside. Strand together, they all made out of concrete. Ugly, yep. Antennas up top. Now, the kind of apartment, this would be a standard type of an apartment, but there's a special kind of an apartment. And here's a picture of that other kind of apartment, and it's an apartment where you don't rent the entire place, you rent a room. You rent one little room, and everybody shares the bathroom, so there'll be like 4, 5, 6 rooms, sharing the kitchen and sharing the bathroom. And here is the area, bathroom, and there will be 5, 6 other rooms. You rent a little room. It's a lot cheaper than a regular full-blown apartment. What do you think about the quality of these, though? Happy? What? Poorly done? I mean, in the common area, you don't really care about it. It's not yours. You care more about your specific space. Now, the wooden houses in the villages tend to be very well taken care of. That is a typical Russian woman, or an old woman, normally always wearing the headscarf. That's, in English we call it a babushka, which is the Russian word for grandmother, grandma. But here you see the wooden house behind, painted, different colors, patterns of different wood there. Very old style houses. The roofs are actually cement tiles, for the most part, concrete. Russian houses normally have fences around them, and they have gardens. They like their gardens. I don't know who this woman is. I found this picture on the internet, but it's a perfect example of houses in Russia, out in the villages. And that is all for notes today. That is Russia's people.